Hey guys, what's up? Alright. It's Double Deuce back. And we're gonna go on to build video number 4, and hopefully this will finish it up. So now that your next where I left off was putting your carburetors on. Okay, you can set your carbs on there, and you got to readjust all these things here. Now if you get one like this and it kind of goes that way, you can actually, they give you some more like spare washers in there that you can put in there. So I'm going to do that right now. And our next segment of this is going to be our cam timing and our belts and stuff. And now what I did the mods on the carburetors. I left out the big spring, and I didn't cut down the shaft because I didn't want to. It's an experiment, you know, and he suggested it heavily. One thing I did notice on the shafts was they were really sharp on the edge of the set screws here. So I mean, my first suggestion would be to, you know, maybe like just round that off with like a piece of emery cloth or something, and that way there, because his you know, it's gonna fit that little groove better where that sets in there. I can understand where he was going with his suggestion, because the slop that's in the carbs itself, you know, up and down from the set screw, it's, you know, it's there, but it's very minimal, you know what I'm saying? So okay, so there we go. Look at that. Now it's nice and tight. I added 2 washers that are 2, you know, Teflon seals to that one, so these are all basically ready to go now. So you get your little screws and your nuts, and you put your bar on there. And now one thing, here's what I did. Okay, for my gap in here, I did not have my my dial caliper working properly, so I just went and got batteries for it. But the Allen wrench that you use, okay, to tighten up your, you know, your levers up here, is actually like 145 millimeters. So if you use that to set down and, you know, and adjust your carburetors with your set screw, and, you know, and you can do each one of these, okay, and adjust them all. So I set mine just, you know, just loose of 145 millimeter. So they all fit in the holes, and you know, they work very well. So putting this on and having them all synchronized is kind of tough, you know what I mean? So get your set screws first in where it needs to be, and then loosen these screws up here with your bar on there, and just turn the thing around in a circle, and you can bring it back to adjust to where you want your throttle position to be, whether you want it in the middle or you want it way back or whatever. I would say back would be best, and that would be wide open, so to give you more of the swing on your thing. Now you can also, this will also fit here too, but it would be tight back here if you wanted to turn them around and get them away from the front there. And like I say, these are all, you can turn these things back. I turned them back on my Skyline build, just for the simple fact because it was real tight in there. And you know, wish these would unscrew or something and come off, because they're cool looking for a display, but if you want to put a filtration system on them, basically what I do is I took a piece of flat foam, laid it across there, and wedged it in between my my inner front fender of my build, you know, my Skyline. So all right, so let's get back to business here. Okay, we're going to put on our idler pulley for our cam. And It'll be that. Okay, we need this pulley and number 61. Now the directions show this pulley. Okay. You have to put it together, but it was already put together in a package for you. The bearing and the shaft are already inserted in there. And we're going to need bolt number 61, which is going to be the shiny one in here. Right there. Now, get that out of the way. Get my Loctite out. And we'll put a little on the edge. Ooh, a little too much there, bub. There we go. Now, I suggest you lube this bearing, even with just a little oil or something, because, like I say, on my first build, when I put it together, this thing was screaming like crazy, you know, so I put a little lube in there. Got my hardware, and it goes right next to the cam thing. And get our Allen screws. Okay, there's a big one. This is the big ones. There we get our hardware in there. It's cool they give you these little Allen screws with it, because it's like, it's a nice little maintenance kit. And there we go. A little tight on there, so that's good. So we got that on there. Now we'll see what the next step is. Oh, it's going to be our fan. This is fun. Okay, so the fan we're going to need number 15 and 236s. Now this is number 15. Right here in your blister pack, right next to the valve cover. And 36s are your bolts that bolted in. And 36. And it says it's in there, and it's not in there. Okay, cool beans. So, kind of frustrating when you go to look in your compartment and they're not in there. They're all over the place. Like I said, I don't know who packed these things, but they are getting kind of sloppy here. These things were like really nice when they I got the first one, and now they're, like I say, they get kind of sketchy here, fellers. Check these bolts. Yes. And like I say, you do have a lot of spare hardware in here, you know, so that does help you quite a bit. Stuff some grease down inside this little cavity here, so this thing doesn't seize in. They want you to set that in there. Now see, that slides back and forth to adjust your belt. And put this in here and just kind of snug it a little bit. That way we know all we got to do is adjust it and then tighten it later. Okay. Next thing we're going to need is number 24, 63, 62, 63. Okay, we're going to need two 63s and a 24. So if you look in here, and up in the corner up here is 62, and you got two 63s in there. There are two bearings. And pick them out. That one already, the bearing kind of fell on that one during shipping. All right, now, and we're gonna need, this is next to your exhaust manifold. This here, this is for your fan. We're getting close, guys. Yeah, real close. I'm gonna put my fan blades on right now, just because I can. Okay. And right next to the compartment here, where the fan blades are all the hardware for it. Alrighty, now this over here. Now I want these twisted out. Like so. Right bit here. I did not Loctite my fan blades because the plastic kind of compresses the screw when you and kind of locks it in place that way, because believe it or not, I've broken quite a few of these fan blades. I was on my V4 build there, and I didn't realize it, that every time I took it out and ran it, I would lose like all the fan blades on it, or maybe one. I was like, well, I couldn't figure it out. And here what was going on was every time it shifted into second gear, the steering servo that was out in the front axle would jump and rock back really far, because it didn't have, it had rubber bushings in the links, not balls. So, but that thing flexed quite a ways, and like I say, every time it flexed, it would jump up and hit my fan blade, and I was like, man, it was like, so I made the set out of metal, you know what I mean? That's how I caught it, because when I had took it out and I heard it hit heard something hit, and I was like, hey, what the hell was that? So I stopped and looked at it, and I seen the servo was all tore up from the metal blades, and I said, oh, I got it now. So I skidded my servo forward. I made a little extension plate for it to get it out of the way, and ain't had a problem since. But you can buy these blades on their website, and I wish they had, I guess, more of a, when they premiere one of these engines, I wish, you know, I know they're trying to like pre-sell them. Like the first one I bought was a pre-sale, and you know, and they started pumping them out after that. But I kind of wish that they would actually put 2 bags on there, have the parts in stock, if you know what I'm saying, because it's kind of a pain, you know, when you're assembling something and say you're you know, you're trying to like tighten something up, or something breaks, or you know what I mean, something like that, and tight. We have to see if this tool works on this. I don't know. No, it doesn't fit that side. It does fit that side, so we can tap it down. I didn't realize there's going to be any tapping involved with this. My other one went right in. I don't want to break my fan blades here. Okay, that's set in place. And you guys can see all that. And now we need the big screw in number 60. There's only should be the last one left. And it is actually a button head screw. Big button head screw. Put that right in the front. Alright. Now here's where it gets exciting. We're going to remove our little plate. Remember when I said not to Loctite this front little plate here? Because now we're going to take it off so we can slip the belt down in between it. And we'll put it back together again. Now I did the mod on my water pump. I sanded the gears down. And you know, I was trying to investigate why it was so stiff. And so I think between the seals and you know, it's pretty tight in there. The two Teflon seals that go in there, I did notice the pin on the top one actually puts a recess inside that in that seal, and I could see where they were grinding against each other. So I sanded down the two, you know, the two things with my fingers, and it's still a little stiff, but once I get the belt on there and get it moving. But the thing is, I can at least move it now, you see. And I actually put a drill on here, electric powered, you know, cordless drill, and spun it over a little bit to seat it in so I could tighten the pump down, you know. So, okay, now let's see, get our belt. After this, there's going to be exhaust. Now, you got two belts that came with it. It'll be belt number 81 MXL. That's the belt number. That's for your timing belt. So, and your starter belt would be 72 MXL. Now you want your timing marks to both point down. So this one here would be down, okay? And this one's up. Now that one's down. You see the little mark there? That's down. That's down. That's what they say. Now, I don't know if it really matters at all, but I don't know if this could be 180 out. So if you attempt to start the thing and it doesn't start, maybe I don't know. It doesn't make any sense because that's a 360. So it's got to be good for there. So anywho, I'm gonna put this in like so, and like so. Now take our fan. Now I know why I didn't put the fan blades on last time. But I put my fan blades on last. But when you're putting your belt on, in the schematic, they show you put all your stuff together first. But now, when you see down in there. Get a close-up on that. You see how that belt just rides against that water pump gear? Okay, that's why this fan is adjustable back and forth. So I got it all the way over, and I'm going to start snugging this up and make sure my timing marks are still set. It looks like one moved on me, and it did. So okay, that's good right there. Both timing marks are down, as you can see. Down and down. So that's the way it's going to be. I know I keep moving it back and forth here because it's rocking on there. Now you want to tighten up your water pump pulley. Actually, I'm going to put the front cover on first. That way it doesn't bind everything up. So here we go. Because I remember putting my fan blades on after the engine was all put together, because now you got to work around them, you know, to tighten up this little front bearing bracket here. Which is a little rough sometimes when you got big fingers like me and you can't see. Your sight's kind of shot. Now, there we go. Now, everything's good. Timing's still there. And now we're going to tighten that belt up. So, get one of these in there. Try to push this thing in a little bit. I actually had to tap it. I had one with a hammer because it was so tight, and that wasn't cool. So put the screwdriver in there, kind of wedge that over, tighten that screw up a little bit. That's what we're going to do over here. Greasing this thing, I tell you, it just makes it so much easier. Yeah, we'll try it. Yeah. Now you got it correct when you turn the engine. Now watch down inside that belt. See the water pump turning in there? It's not skipping over it. See, and I can turn it really easy by hand now because I had loosened all that stuff up in there. So I'm happy with that. And the belt's got a nice little tension on it. That's good. We'll come back down to our top dead center and recheck that again. And yes, we're top dead center, or top bottom center, I should say. That's what it would be. And oh, now we're getting down to the exhaust, guys. Pretty much all we got left in our blister pack here, other than our valve cover and our exhaust manifold, our tools. So this is number 29. The gaskets are number 57. I believe they're over here. Yes, and I think the hardware is all in here too. 57. And the O-rings are in here, because there's two sets of O-rings that goes on there. And number 36. Yes, everything is in this one corner over here, supposedly, if it hasn't jumped around. Now, So you got 4 large ones and 4 really tiny ones. They're actually easier to put on than to get out of this box. Hopefully I'm not working off camera. I am, when you know it. Sorry about that, guys. Let me move the camera a little bit here. There we go. Anyway, so we got our 4 gaskets. All right, we got our 4 large O-rings and we got our 4 small O-rings. Now we're going to need 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 4 of these tiny little ones here. You can see them there, really tiny, tiny, tiny. Those actually hold the manifold on. So, alrighty then. So what they want us to do is mount these on the engine. So, get these started. These are pretty simple, straight up. Doesn't matter which way they go. You know, there's no upside down, no upside right on this one, because they're open on the sides, and all right, it's like so. Now, put a gasket in there and start them in. I guess, and then I could just come back and line up the way I'm not fumbling with them. Get one started with the gasket, and you come back and just move it around a little bit. Easy as pie. I know the let's say the parts ability for these things, you can get almost any part for them. It's just the process to get the part is such a pain, and it seems the shipping takes forever, you know. So, and you know, that's the problem. I don't know if they ship once a month or what the deal is, you know. I'm going to ask them, what's the process? You know, because I know they are a middleman, basically. They are selling these engines for Toyan, you know, and I've contacted Toyan directly, and I had asked them, you know, like maybe throw in an extra, you know, timing belt or a starter belt or something in with these engines, because you know they're going to go bad, you know it, and so their reaction was, they told me that they already get one with it. And I'm like, yeah, but they don't understand. You know, for instance, like the starter wasn't shimmed right on my FS-L400, and it just smoked the teeth right off the belt. So then every time you went to start it, it would hit that flat spot on the belt. Now, if I had an extra belt, I could put it on there, and I would have gone online and I would have ordered one more. But, I mean, you know, I looked these belts up, and like the starter belt, I mean, you can get like, I don't know, they're like 15 to 25 cents a piece, you know, from the manufacturer. You can buy them on eBay if you know the belt number. If you keep track of that belt number right there, because all this is a printer, a 3D printer belt. So 72 MXL and the 81 MXL for here, if you can get online and buy them, and you probably get them closer and delivered faster. I still haven't got the 2 belts that I ordered for my other one there, and that was back in November or December, and that's kind of crazy, you know what I mean? I don't know if they forgot about me or what the deal was, but okay, so we're gonna put these big O-rings on, the big green ones here. Slide them down, slide them down, like so. This, like I say, just adding this little O-ring was a pretty genius thing to do, because it seals them. You know what I mean? That way you ain't got mess going everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Now that sits on there. Now we'll get our tiny little screws and our tiny little O-rings, and so the O-ring goes on the screw, goes in the hole. Kind of hard to line them up. There we go. There's one. Put this one out here and kind of see if I can get them in together. 2. Don't tighten them all down until you get them all started. That way, in case there's a little variance in the, you know, the way the thing's lined up against the shaft or something, it'll you won't cross thread it. These little tiny little screws are really easy to cross thread. You know, you guys have probably done that before. I've done it a million times. And one thing I had to learn with these when I was putting these together was let the Loctite do the work for you, and you can maintain, you know, your engine or your model or your RC or whatever just before you run it. Kind of tighten everything up, and after you run it, check everything. Just make sure everything's still there. Because I found out you can't over tighten this stuff. Once you do, everything breaks right off or it strips out. Or I just heard that one of the other guys putting it together had this nut back here. He tightened the nut up, set the engine on the shelf, and walked away, and he heard something snap, and the flywheel fell right off of it because the threads broke right off the crank. That worries me, because to me, that shouldn't be like that. So we have one more couple of brackets here, and that would be the starter bracket and a shim. Move all this over so you guys can see what I'm getting out here. There's your starter, your bracket. This is a starter shim. Okay. And these are your I'll lay this down because I'm not gonna put the starter motor on there because I got to take it back off anyway. So put this in here like so, and I'll put this in here like so. Yeah, buddy, like that. I don't know why they got it ass backward like that. Is that? Oh. Funny. And those aren't it. Imagine that. They must have had them in the wrong hole. Okay. This is the frustrating part. There we go, running amok to see where they put them at. Actually, you know what? That's right. These are for the motor because they take really small ones. And the button head ones, I do remember now, were for this because they didn't fit inside this very well. That's what I remember now. There's one in. That one went in okay. I think on my last one, the hole wasn't big enough and I had to ream the hole, or actually ground the bolt down because I think the bolt was a little wider. All right. And the two little ones are for your starter motor. I'm going to put them back in here, like so. Now, last but not least, we got the valve cover, which I'll put on there just because, you know, I don't know why they didn't have you put the valve cover on kind of first. You know, or during the assembly of it, because that way kind of keeps all the crap out of it, you know. But maybe they thought because it's so nice and clean, you know, it is a beautiful piece of machined up, you know, anodized aluminum. And we got our gaskets out, so you should be left with like one head gasket when you're done, because they say they give you spares, so whatever a spare is. Put that down there, and our valve covers are number 36 is the screws. They're there's a ton of them. Okay. To be honest with you, the other way around. You see there's a flat spot on the front that goes forward. It would be cool, because they got the black screws. It'd be cool if they had chrome ones, you know, or even like poly stainless on top here, all these here. I do have some stainless ones. I was going to change them out on my other one because I wanted to, you know, but sometimes the shiny stainless ones, they're not hardened, and these here are hardened. And but being it's for a valve cover on the top, and you know, you're going to be taking it on and off quite a bit. But I would say I think it would look pretty cool with some polished hardware on the top here to kind of finish off the looks of it. It makes me want to celebrate almost if I could hear it run afterwards, but I'm waiting for my part, my rocker arm bar. As soon as I get that, what I may do, now that I got this all dialed in and tuned in, I may borrow the rocker arm bar off my other one, being it's just on top and take it off, and that way I can at least fire it up for you guys, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we're down to the nipples. Okay, these are for your water pump and all that, and your, you're going to need 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. And we're going to need some gaskets. And see how many gaskets I got left now because of the spillage that was in the box there. I don't know how many I had to begin with. So we're gonna need 1. Come on. Okay. And stuck in the top. If you can't find them, look in the top, because there's 2 here. I need at least 2 for the water pump. Wherever it went now. There it is. Probably not a good idea to put white Teflon gaskets together. Now this is your water pump inlet, okay? This is what pulls the fluid through. Or no, yeah, this is the inlet here, yeah. And on the top over here, that's your outlet. Now, common sense would have said to have to put these on before you put your carburetors on. But that's the instructions that's how they were. So you're working with something this tiny, and make sure you put those gaskets on the water pump side, because they leak. I guarantee you they'll leak. So, this is crazy. This is really crazy. I can't believe that. Why would they do that to me? Apparently they're not sympathetic, the guys with sausage fingers. You know? So, well, anywho, that one's going to go on there. And I got to take all the carbs off to put this on. So, I don't know if I got any tiny tweezers or pliers here. Okay. Well, mechanic's trick when you're putting spark plugs in a deep recessed hole. Use a piece of hose. There we go. And then just twist the hose. And next thing you know, it goes right in. Look at that, huh? I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier. And these here have just two little flat spots on them. Okay, this is your inlet for your water to come in. That's your outlet. And then in the front, you have two openings into your crankcase. I think one's for a pressure or one's for oil or something. I don't know. I haven't really hooked this one up. I'd like to hook this one up to my fuel tank to see how much pressure actually, or try to hook it up to a gauge to see how much pressure it's pushing while here we go. Now tighten those up. Well, we need spark plugs now, or glow plugs I should say, and we're finished. And that's the build of the Toyan FS-L400. Any questions, comments, hit me up. I'll do another video of it running when I figure out a starter motor and my rocker arm bar. And then we're going to put it in a project. And I don't know if it's going to be a four-wheel drive project or maybe a front-wheel drive, an all-wheel drive. I don't know. We'll see. They do have a lot of power. And we're going to need to work on a little bit larger of a clutch too. So, alright guys. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. Hit the notification bell. Thanks for hanging in there with me while I put this together, and I hope it all goes smooth for you. So you guys have a great weekend. Adios.